Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have some more information from the DevBlog, some news about update 11.7. That is the update that is 2 updates away. We're currently in 11.5. 11.6 is dropping, I believe, sometime next week or the week after. This is the update after that one. This should be the early to mid-August update, I do believe. So in 11.7, we're getting the next dockyard. We're getting another clan battle season, Brawls. We're also getting some improvements to just some quality of life things, and what they label as other news, or as I like to call it, the most ridiculous change to submarines that has happened so far. Well, there's been some pretty crazy things around submarines, but this one's kind of really not desirable in my opinion, but we'll go ahead and talk about that when we get there. If you look at the timeline down below, there are chapters in this video, so if you want to find a certain bit of news that we're talking about, please reference the timeline. Alright, starting out with where they start at. If you want to read this DevBlog as I read aloud, link to it is in the description down below. I will be throwing up any relevant images or artwork as we go through it, but again, I do encourage you guys to check out the article for yourself. Alright, so they start off with the dockyard. New dockyard and update 11.7, the construction of Puerto Rico at the dockyard will begin. Now the rules are: ship construction at dockyard will consist of 40 phases. It is a tier 10 ship. These shipbuilding phases can be completed by progressing through dockyard combat missions or by spending 1,750 doubloons to pass through each phase. The combat mission groups can be completed during the updates 11.7, 11.8, and the first 3 weeks of 11.9. So that is around 13, 14-ish weeks, depending upon how they space these updates out. The dockyard will remain available until the start of update 11.10. In total, you can progress through 34 of the 40 shipbuilding phases by completing dockyard combat missions. You will receive rewards for completing each phase. The rewards for completing phase 25 will be Huron with a 6 skill point commander and a port slot. The Huron camouflage that won the special contest will be added to the game and be available at a later date. The final reward will be Puerto Rico with a perma camo and a port slot, a commander with 10 skill points, and a commemorative flag. And here's some images of what's being given away. Puerto Rico, again, it's the same dockyard that we built Puerto Rico in the first time. And of course, the Puerto Rico is, well, the Puerto Rico. I will release hold up, is that a new camouflage? I'm just looking at the camo. I'm not sure if it's just because of the lighting of the screenshot or what. But that looks like a different perma camo for the Puerto Rico. That's interesting. But yeah, anyway, I will release a re-review video of the Puerto Rico as she gets closer to release, probably right before 11.7 goes live, so you guys can make up your minds if you want to pick her up for yourself. The gameplay in the background is a pretty good summarization of the Puerto Rico. It's really tanky cruiser. It's not to be thought of as a bigger Alaska, but rather a smaller Montana. That's a TLDR description of the Puerto Rico. Alright, so they mentioned here at the bottom for us owners of Puerto Rico already. If you already own Puerto Rico, upon completing the shipbuilding, you will receive a Puerto Rico certificate, and special armory section will be available to you. That's some English right there. There you will be able to exchange the certificate for 35,000 doubloons, 33,000 steel, 63,000 research points, or 264,000 coal of your choice. So you get to choose one of those. Thus, for completing the shipbuilding, you will be able to purchase any other available Tier 10 resource ship. So again, if you didn't pick up on that, for those of us that own Puerto Rico already, if we go through, grind through the dockyard and complete it, we get any Tier 10 ship that's currently available for sale. Any of the steel ships, any of the Research Bureau ships, any of the coal ships, any of the doubloon ships. Or you can just pick the 35,000 doubloons. That's a pretty nice send-off there. So you basically have to spend what it sounds like. You have to, how many we get? 34 of the 40 phases? Yeah, 34 of the 40 phases you get by just grinding through. So you have to pay a little over, 10,000 doubloons to complete it. And if you already have Puerto Rico, you're basically paying 10,000 doubloons to get any Tier 10 ship, or paying 10,000 doubloons to get 35,000 doubloons, and basically you get 25,000 doubloons for free there. So pretty good deal for those of us that went through and got the Puerto Rico the first time. And I do think the dockyard, generally these new ones have been very, very, very good in terms of the rewards you get. So I do think just grinding through the event, just grinding through it getting to what, 25 or 21, you get the Huron, which is looking like to be a quite good tier 7 DD. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a really nice dockyard event. They've really managed to balance these events out. The Puerto Rico was much a despised ship for quite some time upon her release because of the dockyard finagle. You even can go look back at my Puerto Rico first impressions video. I think it still has like a... I think it's recovered quite a bit since then, but for the first like month it had a negative like to dislike ratio because I got the Puerto Rico to review. Just by nature of me getting the ship, the video got a dislike to hell. But it's probably at like 60 or 70% now. But yeah, there was much rage against the Puerto Rico for a very long time because the dockyard that we were shown and the test server was cut down. It looked pretty doable. And then we got the Puerto Rico event in the live server, which was infinitely harder. So it's nice to see Wargaming coming full circle and righting this wrong. And now everyone that didn't want to grind their life away over their Christmas break to get the Puerto Rico can now get the Puerto Rico in August in a pretty simple dockyard. They even include all the combat missions for the dockyard via this link. So let's check that out real quick. I'll put up a screen. Blessed spreadsheet. Yeah, so let's go through these real quick. So, first group, provide 95,000 damage upon your spotting, so 95,000 spotting damage. 750 any ribbons, tier 5 to 10 ships, and co-op, clan, brawl, ranked. These are really easy. Let's go look at some of the last combat missions, the harder ones. Okay, so some of the last combat missions: earn 14,500 free XP, tier 5 to 10 ships, random rank, co-op, clan. Earn the top 5. Enter the top 5 of your team by XP 12 times. Pretty easy. Earn 255,000 commander XP. Fairly easy. Just going to take a hot minute. Do 2.6 million damage overall. Fairly easy. Again, it's just going to take some time. 36,000 base XP. It's going to take some time. Earned 5 destroyed ribbons. Okay, yeah, so these combat missions aren't anything that's terrible. At most, it's going to take the average Joe a minute to do, but it can definitely be done. And they're letting you do this in tier 5 to 10 ships, super ships, random rank, co-op, or brawl. So you literally have every available mode in the game to do. So kudos to Wargaming here. This looks like it's going to be a very nice dockyard event and a nice, again, apology and make up for the original Puerto Rico event. So nice to see them complete this story arc. Alright, moving on from the Puerto Rico new clan battle season. From August 15th from August 15th to October 3rd, the 18th season of clan battles will be held. Battles will be featuring tier 8 ships in a 6v6 format. Aircraft carriers are not allowed, so no Graf Zeppelin, unfortunately. There can be no more than one battleship per team. Details of the season will be announced later. That's interesting. Tier 8. I wonder if it's because of the backlash against super ships. I haven't seen very many players say they enjoy super ships and CBs. Most comments about super ships and CBs have been either neutral or negative from what I've seen at least. So tier 8 in a 6v6 format. I'm predicting Linens, maybe some masses. There's a lot of tier 8 ships, a lot of tier 8 premiums. I will tip my hat to the team running Turpits and CBs though. So we'll see how that pans out. So the next Brawls, they say in update 11.7, we will be featuring 3 Brawls in the following formats. The first Brawl will be the 15th through the 22nd, 12v12 on tier 6 battleships. Oh, good to be doing some Jutlands type stuff here. That seems fun. Second Brawl, 22nd to 29th. Oh, and they limited the ship class. Ooh, that is interesting because of the current season of Brawls where the DDs just hide and do ring around the rosy for 10 minutes. Okay. So the second Brawl, 4v4 in tier 4 ships. Class limits are 0 to 1 CVs, 0 to 3 BBs, 3 cruisers, 3 DDs. Third Brawl, 3v3 on tier 4 ships again. 1 CV, 2 BBs, 2 cruisers, and 2 DDs. That seems interesting, throwing it down to some lower tier action. Okay. British Battleships Part 2 with the British Battle Cruisers. The Port of London has been updated as part of the continuation of the early access to British Battle Cruisers. Okay, London looks nice. Looks like they gave it a nice, some nice little touch up here. They got rid of the fog. I think in Part 1 of the battlecruiser event, it just looks like incredibly smoggy. Like that, was it the smog of like 1950 where people just died from how smoggy it was? Also added the Heyday of Industry container and the Heyday of Industry Premium container. I'm assuming these are going to be the containers for the battlecruiser event. Camera improvements. Those camera improvements we heard so much about and that I was quite happy to hear. They didn't come out, but now they are coming out at 11.7. In version 11.7, to improve the comfort of the game, there will be adjustments made to the combat camera. Change the default base view angle. Okay, did they have a... No, they don't have an image down there of that. Improved camera options when using the spawning aircraft. Now the player has 2 camera positions to choose from to make aiming when using the spawning aircraft more comfortable. Lower, similar to the current camera position without using the spotting aircraft. Upper, similar to the current position when using the spotting aircraft. So like the spotting aircraft POV, it's great for shooting at long ranges, but you know, you run into the situation of, well, yeah, I was shooting that battleship that's 24 kilometers away from me, but now this cruiser popped up 12 kilometers away from me. I need to aim at him, and it's just kind of disorienting when you have to try and aim close in with that elevated camera. It's not impossible, it's just, again, a nice quality of life improvement, including these as well. They added in quite a few other options. New settings added. Field of view allowed players to set the angle of view themselves. The setting does not affect the binoculars mode. Camera height, allowing players to raise and move the camera away from the ship. Camera flying around the ship before the start of battle, which allows the players to turn this option on or off. It will replace the always start a battle completely zoomed out setting. Alternate airstrike control, enabling dynamic camera zoom depending on distance. Position of the main battery and torpedo tubes will now be fixed when switching to the airstrike mode. That is something I am very happy for. If you go back and look at, I forget what the name of the video was, but I was having to deal with a submarine in a Yami. And, you know, you're sitting there in the airstrike mode trying to, you know, guesstimate where the submarine is. But then, you know, by the time you're like, okay, he's here. In the Yami, the turrets already turned off target what you were shooting at beforehand. So now your turrets are, you know, 20 degrees off your target. And in Yami, that takes a hot second to get back. So I'm very glad they changed that. Or they could also just add in an option to where we could choose if our turrets can turn or not when we're in that camera mode. But again, some nice quality of life stuff. The camera angle and torpedo tubes view is now the same as the main battery view. Detailed information about the changes to the combat camera in 11.7 will be published later. Okay. And now we get to submarines. Improvements to submarines. In version 11.7, submarines will receive a number of improvements. The hydrophone consumable was split into 2, the upper lookout hydrolocator and the low frequency hydrophone. The upper lookout hydrolocator shows the position of the surface ships and illuminates the bottom topography. The low frequency hydrophone allows detection of submarines in an underwater position. A hydrophone combines 2 different tasks and is often used to perform only one of them while the other is overlooked. Splitting the consumable will make the submarine play more comfortable, allowing you to activate exactly the consumable you need at a given time. The setting for the new consumables will change in comparison to the current version of hydrophone. So I do wonder if like you can only use one at a time, then you have to wait for a cooldown on both. If that's the case, I think that's a good change. It's a good balancing change to where you have to choose between, hey, I want to see the submarines, or hey, I want to see the surface ships. And you have to wait to use the other option. But they don't really go into too much detail about that. It could mean that it's being split into 2 different consumables. They don't show us like a picture of the toolbar or anything, so I don't know for sure. So again, it's the first option. I liked it. The second option, okay, doesn't really change too much either way. And then this next point is probably one of the most ridiculous things with regards to submarine balance. Disabled guaranteed detections for submarines in submerged position. Oh, why? And they do explain why here. Due to the interaction patterns of the submarines, they often accidentally detect each other. This causes them to get caught in an airstrike and also forces them to engage in a duel without being able to get out of it safely. Disabling guaranteed detection will make submarine play more comfortable, and in case you want to attack an enemy sub, you will have to use the low frequency hydrophone. Okay, so if the problem was submarines spotting other submarines accidentally, and I do it, they did disable it in the submerged position. So like if you stumble upon one and use that periscope depth, you're going to sure detect him. But I mean, assured detect means you know you've gotten too close and now you're both spotted. That's been a thing for every class in the game for, well, all eternity. And now you're disabling to where you can't spot the submarine. So how's this going to affect destroyers that are sailing over the submarines? Now, beforehand, the idea was that if you were spotted by a DD in a submarine, you were sure detected. You could avoid that by going down to maximum depth where no one's going to spot you. And that was one of the gameplay ideas. You know, spot the submarine, force them to go down to maximum depth, so it'll buy the team a couple of seconds to reorient themselves and decide what to do with the submarine, or it forces the submarine down to where the submarine has to run. That's one method of dealing with submarines that's now being thrown out the window because they can't be assured detected in the submarine position, in the submerged position. So I would like some clarification. You know, does this apply just sub versus sub, or does this apply to surface ships too? And I kind of think it's funny how they're like, oh, they accidentally spot one another. Well, yeah, I accidentally spot a couple of ships sometimes with sure detect, be it through an island, or I charge a smoke screen thinking that the DD isn't there, but then surprise, he is there. But they still get assured detected. I don't like this change. We'll see where it goes. Submarines right now we're in a place to where it's kind of like CVs before the rework, where either you run into a submarine that's like God, or you run into a submarine that just blows up in 2 minutes. There's a very big skill gap right now, and it seems like this is probably them trying to get rid of that gap. And they're doing the same thing they did with the CVs. They're just going to keep buffing them to the point to where more people want to play them, and more people do play them. So, I don't know. I don't like it. We'll see where it goes, but if they could just disable it versus like submarines, okay, or maybe crank the submarine assured detect down to 1 kilometer to where submarines can only spot each other from 1 kilometer away. I think that would be a better way to do this besides just throwing the whole mechanic out the window if they're below the water. So we'll see what happens there. Alright, so they also state the visual effect of using a sonar displayed above the submarine is also now displayed for the submarine itself. Okay, I thought they said disabled. The change will make playing submarines more understandable and more comfortable, and allow for them to better understand the interaction of the opponents with it. Okay, so they're gonna show the little white glowy bit that shows up when they ping above the surface, so they can see that too. Okay. Visual changes: improve the rendering of shadows, added a new shadow quality preset, very high. Increase the details for the high and maximum presets. Ooh. Fixed errors in the display of shadows for all presets. Please note the game's minimum requirements have been increased. Full support for DX11 shader model 5.0 is now required. The minimum required video cards are now GeForce GTX 460, Radeon HD 5770, Intel HD Graphics 4000. It will not be possible to run the game client on older video cards. It's so funny that they're worried about, and I mean, a large portion of the computers that do play this game are pretty old, according to Ouija. But it's like, yes, I do believe a good chunk of them do at least have a 460, but or Intel HD Graphics 4000. So yeah, so the game's getting prettier. That's always wonderful. I am a little graphics hoe, and I like when my games look good. Content addition and changes: special permanent camouflage of researchable European destroyers of tier 5 to 10, as well as the destroyers small and have been updated. They are now called Traditions of the North. Alright, they look nice. They added some crests on there. That looks very nice indeed. Okay. The following content has been added to the game: permanent camo for permanent camo, Cloud Privateer for Hampshire, and North Sea for Incomparable. Those look fancy. I'm sure there's an event that's going along with those as well. Oh yes, they most definitely are. Okay. Commanders William Leamington and, oh my god, Manakami Shiori. Patches Obon Matsuru and Compass, Flags Around the World, and the Scarlet Rose. Okay, sounds like that event's coming in August. Okay, so overall, Puerto Rico Dockyard event, nice again to see them complete that story arc, come full circle, make that event right with the community. The British battle cruisers, of course, can't wait to get my hands on them, and those wonky semi-guided torpedoes. Camera improvements, good quality of life changes. Submarine changes, don't like that they're getting rid of assured detect. That just seems kind of dumb in my mind. We'll see where it goes, but I don't think it'll be a positive change. The other change is submarine splitting the hydrophone into 2 consumables. I think it's a good change, and the visual change of this sonar as well, I think, is a good change as well. And again, graphics getting improved, I always like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about these upcoming changes to the game. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. When we do 40,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.